Hey guys, this is Caitlin with DHI, and we are at Yellowhammer Brewing today, and I'm going to show you around real quick. Alright, so we're actually in the brewery itself. There is the tap room, the doors that go into the tap room. Look at all these. Look how shiny those tanks are. Awesome barrels. Alright, we're going to go all the way back to the brewery. And we're going to visit with Chad and Keith about the August conversation series at Yellowhammer Brewing. Oh. Look at the logos. Look at all those. Alright. I know you guys.
Hey!
Okay, alright. So conversation series.
So welcome to the Downtown Huntsville Craft Beer Trail Conversation Series. We do this every month with one of our 11 great stops, 7 breweries, 4 craft beer stores, and today we're really fortunate to be here at the worldwide headquarters of Yellowhammer. All right, so I remember moving here in 2013 and 2014. You had this little space. It's now another brewery actually, but tell us, like Yellowhammer, how did it even get started?
So it got started basically 4 guys sitting around playing poker and decided to, 2 of them wanted to open a bar, and then 2 of us decided to open a brewery, and we just kind of got together and decided the brewery was the way to go. Back then, there wasn't a whole lot of breweries. There was basically only Old Town and Good People. So
were the brewery openers or the bar openers the winner of the poker game?
I don't really
Like, was this
remember
like a
who
losing
won.
bet?
If I was involved, I definitely lost, so I'm no good at poker.
So it grew into, so tell me when the name Yellowhammer how did that come into the brand?
Well, we all were meeting in the very early days trying to discuss names, and we knew we wanted to encompass Alabama and Southern heritage into our name, and we wanted to concentrate on the good stuff of Alabama, and so Yellowhammer is the state bird, and we thought that was a positive image, and also that we thought that the bird would make a cool image for the logo and stuff.
So one of the cool things when you come to Yellowhammer is that in addition to the amazing beer, we're going to talk about the different styles real soon here. But before we talk about the styles, I want to talk about the glasses, because you come in here and you see Keith, and he has a Hellas right there. And why is that beer in that glass instead of this one?
Well, if it was in that glass, it'd be a 16-ounce pour, so that would be okay. But we try to have beers that are acceptable for each style. I mean, the glasses are acceptable for each style. This is a decent lager glass, so the bartenders are instructed to put most of the lagers in this style glasses from 4 to 12 ounce. And one of the things that's nice about it is, it allows you to really see the clarity of the beer. And also because it's narrower, it focuses the head into a more compact at the top of the glass, which it has a nicer profile overall visually.
So one time I remember being here, and Keith in a very nice way asked the server to say, please pour that Kolsch in a Kolsch glass, and that cylindric, no base. Like, why is a Kolsch in a Kolsch glass taste better or more appropriate?
Well, in Cologne, they serve Kolsch, and basically they're about 8-ounce glasses. And if you order a Kolsch, they bring you a glass, and they will continue to bring you a glass, about 8 ounces of beer, until you either turn it upside down or put your coaster on the top of it. And the reason is it stays colder. You're drinking it. You're going to be probably knocking it kind of fast because it's only 8 ounces, and it just looks cool. It looks awesome.
Yeah.
Something about the way it looks is cool.
When you join the trail or come visit the trail, know that this is the level of detail that our people are doing. Of the glass that you serve the beer in is being thought about. So in addition to glasses, there are some, looks like wine barrels behind us. What's going on here?
These actually are, most of these are actually used wine barrels. If we get them from all over the country. A lot of these are from Arrington Vineyards. They will get the Jack Daniel's barrels and then repurpose them as wine barrels, and then we'll put our beer in and pick up wine and spirit essences from the barrels. It's pretty cool.
So what's a beer that you all brew right now that is a wine barrel aged beer?
Bride of Frankenhammer is definitely aged in the Arrington Vineyards wine barrels.
And Arrington's just up the
yeah, it's about 2
I-65.
hours. It's a really cool place. If people haven't been there, they need to go check it out.
All right. So everyone talks about flagship beers. Tell us about what your flagship beers would be.
Okay, our 2 biggest selling beers right now are T- or Tangerine Kolsch, and our Rebellion Red Lager. Following close behind that is our Belgian White, which is our original flagship beer. Then our Cheatin' Heart, and then our Midnight Special. Cheatin' Heart is a tropical IPA, and the Midnight Special, that's what you're drinking?
Yeah.
Midnight Special is a German-style Schwarz beer, black lager.
So when you start to brew a beer, I mean, you have all these different styles. How do you decide, like, we want to do this type of IPA versus this type versus, like, what's the process when an idea comes to your mind?
Well, what we wanted to have something a little different, a little more unique with our Cheatin' Heart, so we decided to go with a hop that actually has kind of more of a pineapple or more of a mango forward character. So we'll find other hops that are similar to that, and we'll blend them together until we get what we want. Whereas Groovy Don's, which is my business partner Don Milligan's IPA, which is also delicious. We wanted to go more with a West Coast feel for that, so we found more traditional Centennial Cascade hops for those. And it really just depends on what you're going for. There's so many different hops out there right now that you can do a lot of really fun and interesting things.
So you're known for being like a beer savant, right? Like you've brewed almost every type. Is there a type of beer that you haven't brewed yet that you're like, no, that's the golden ticket, I want to brew that one?
There's a lot of historical styles that I have not brewed. As far as do I want to brew them, not necessarily. I probably brewed well over 100 styles just here at Yellowhammer. So within just specialty beers and one-offs and that sort of thing. I know right now the hazy beers are really popular, and we got some of our guys brewing those up. Some of our lead brewers brewing those up right now. Those are all their recipes. I just let them go to town, and they're turning out great.
So 2 questions, and we're going to talk about the space also. So if you think about this, what beer are you most proud of, and what beer was the hardest beer to brew?
Well, I guess the one I'm probably most proud of is our Rebellion, which is our flagship beer. And that beer it's risen up through the ranks. It started out, people weren't exactly sure what it was.
And what is it?
It's a red lager. It's got a lot of. It's based on German brewing techniques, but really it's a true American hybrid beer. We blend German malts with American hops, and it's not super hoppy, but it's got a little bit of a spicy hop note, and then it's crisp but malty. And that beer, this is probably the one that I drink the most of on a day-to-day basis. I would say the one that is probably the hardest to brew would be...
Like when you're like looking at the list, you're like, oh man, I gotta nail this again, because this is a hard type.
The Frankenhammer and the Bride of Frankenhammer, those 2 are higher gravity beers. The yeast can be particular with that style, the Belgian style yeast. And those 2 are the ones that are probably the hardest to brew, and the high gravity beers are always a little more challenging to brew. That being said, if you brew a Helles or a Kolsch, there's nothing to hide behind those beers. So if you can make that without there being any major flaws, then you've done a pretty good job.
So I've heard some people say that high gravity beer is actually easier because there's big alcohol. Like, why is it harder? What makes those things harder to brew?
Mostly because you're trying to hit your numbers, so that you're trying to make sure that what you say the ABV actually is on the label. And so a lot of times your higher gravity beers tend to be less efficient when you're brewing them. And so, and then also you have to make sure that you have enough yeast and aeration, that you aerate properly to make sure that you finish it all the way down to where you're trying to get. With Belgian beers, we're trying to dry those beers out. We're not leaving a lot of sticky, sweet flavors in those. What we're trying to do is get that beer so that it's drinkable. Even if it's 9, 10, 11, 12%, we're trying to get that beer so that you can eat it sausage, some sauerkraut or whatever, and then drink that beer and finish it down rather than being like really filling and sit on your palate and your stomach for a long time.
So Yellowhammer is about beer, but they also are about you have ciders, and
No,
you
we
have,
don't do ciders.
you have spirits.
We have spirits. That's right.
So tell us about the beer alternatives that you've brewed and how you get into the alternatives.
Yeah. Well,
And you're really clear. You don't have ciders. No ciders from Keith.
Not that we won't. We will eventually, but right now we don't have
Spirits.
any ciders.
How does spirits happen?
Well, we got running. Of course, didn't know anything about distilling prior to November.
Yeah, of course.
But,
You're a quick learner, Keith.
Quick learner. But we around right around the turn of the year, we started producing vodka and whiskeys. And right now, the whiskeys aren't available because they're still aging. But the vodka, we're turning it out with charcoal filtering it here, and it's turning out real nice. It's every bit as good as some of the top shelf vodkas you can get in the grocery store. We've been distilling it. We have an 18-plate vodka column. By the time that reaches the top, it's at about 90% pure alcohol. So, and then we cut it back down, we filter it to charcoal, and you can get, I don't even know what they make, cosmopolitans. And
So does
all kinds of
does the
fun
beer
drinks.
byproduct get involved in that at all? Or
Well, yeah, the brewing process is how we make our spirits and our vodka. All of our vodka and our whiskey is made just the same way we make beer. We just use some different ingredients, and it's kind of we do things just a little bit differently because we have the ability to keep things cleaner than a lot of distilleries. So we can keep something in the tank longer than what a distillery would, because they have to worry about infections and that sort of thing. So they have to run a lot faster. And so we've actually taken some of our beers, our Rebellion and our Bach, and we just for fun run that through the still. We have those aging. Our Miracle Worker Triple, which makes an excellent whiskey, and so we have all those aging right now, and some of them will start becoming ready before too long.
So we're going to talk about the facility and the beer hall and the pizza and all that kind of stuff. But the last beer question is where is the craft beer industry right now? It's growing. Is it plateauing? It's just so many people moving in, but then we see, like, I was in Birmingham and I saw a bunch of your Teen Minus. It's like, where do you see this going? What's your crystal ball, your 8-ball?
Well, we were lucky. We're one of the ones that were on the vanguard of the brewing industry in Alabama. We were one of the first ones that got started here. So we have a pretty good foot in the door. But there's people are just really interested in craft beer, so they're going to go check out the local tasting rooms. They're going to go, see that new brand on the shelf, and they're going to try it. Our goal is to keep consistent product, so that you're going to want to come back to us over and over again, even when there's a large selection out there.
Yeah, and I'll say this as someone who's in Huntsville. Talk about the trail. Obviously, I'm going to be an advocate, but the fact is consistency. That's what people talk about when you come to Yellowhammer. It's like I had that same beer a month ago. It tasted just the same great way. So consistency. How hard is consistency in the process?
It's hard, and a lot of people think that brewing is all art, but it really is science. It's engineering, it's chemistry, and this is something that as a home brewer and a guy who went to graphics school.
Graphics school?
Yeah, I had to learn a whole lot.
Did you design any cans?
I didn't do these cans.
Okay.
Actually. These were done at a local design firm. I did do the initial designs, and I did design the original logo. And these cans, I couldn't be more happy with the way they turned out. They look fantastic.
Yeah, they look beautiful. So, I know you're not the salesperson, but you're here on camera with us. Tell us, if you're coming here and you're buying beer, in addition to that, you have a pizza partner, you have a event space. Tell us about the whole worldwide headquarters of Yellowhammer.
So, if you come here, you can come here and just get a pizza and the soda. We're fine with that. We'd like you to buy the beer, of course, but while you're here, there's a nice greenery out here that you can go out and relax, run your dogs, have your kids get a little exercise. We have our Lost Highway Beer Hall, which is available for special events. Sometimes we throw a special event back there. In fact, more and more, it's become more and more regular that we have bands and trivia night and that sort of thing. Also, once a month we have a flight club. Not a lot of people know about this. It's been a pretty good little secret, but you can come in. It's reasonably priced. You can try 4 beers that the brewers at Yellowhammer have crafted, made. They're all unique beers. They don't go on at the tap room. It's your only chance to really try them. For the most part, there's a few that do go on, but for the most part, it's your one chance to try those beers. And then there's usually a food truck available, or heck, we're throwing on some burgers and some hot dogs this weekend.
So the difference between Flight Club and Fight Club is the number one rule of Fight Club is what?
Talk about Flight Club.
Yeah, you talk about Flight Club, not Fight Club. So, hey, listen. So, Keith, thank you so much for sharing with us.
It's fun.
So, one of the cool things about the Craft Beer Trail is all of these different people, all the different experiences. You have really, really small nano breweries all the way up to this brew, which is distributing. What states are you distributing?
Right now, we are only in Alabama and Mississippi. We're looking at the Panhandle and Georgia.
So the beers I had in Nashville were illegal beers. Huh?
No, we were actually we were in Nashville for a while, and then we had to pull out only because we weren't able to supply them in Alabama at that point in time, and so we just we found a distributor. We really liked the Mississippi, and so we started moving product over there. It's been going really well.
So that's good when you have a supply problem versus demand problem, right?
Absolutely.
A lot of demand growing on here. So once again, the Downtown Huntsville Craft Beer Trail Conversation Series. You can learn all about the Craft Beer Trail, now presented by Curse Gaming, thanks to our partners at Curse. And we're about to make a big announcement in September. The Craft Beer Trail is going international.
Oh.
It's going to grow. A little tease on that. But thank you tonight. Cheers.
Cheers, brother.
Welcome to the Downtown Huntsville Craft Beer Trail in the Rocket City Center.